I'm Christian Marr from the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation. My guest today is Paula DiGiacomo. Paula is first Assistant District Attorney for Crawford County, but she's not here to talk about her job with us today. Instead, she's here to talk about her work as President of the Board of Directors of Court-Appointed Special Advocates, which is known more commonly by the acronym CASA. Paula, welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
What can you tell us about CASA and the mission of the organization?
Well, CASA, as it's known, is referred to as Court-Appointed Special Advocates. And CASA is an organization which recruits volunteers to be court-appointed special advocates in the courts here in Crawford County. What basically CASAs do are they represent the best interests of children who, by no fault of their own, are involved in the court system in most circumstances, if not all, because they've been abused or neglected.
Okay. So most often problems with the family and someone's gotten into trouble somewhere along the way, probably.
Well, it's usually the child has been abused or neglected by a parent or other caretaker and need to be in the court system for that reason.
Okay, so what was your motivation for getting involved with CASA?
Well, my motivation quite a few years ago, I was an assistant district attorney and I became familiar with this organization. It's a nonprofit organization which does recruit volunteers, and I was asked to be on the board of directors. And because I do prosecute a lot of the child sexual abuse and physical abuse cases, I thought that was a great area for me to contribute my time.
You know what happens behind the scenes. You know what's needed.
Yes.
So that's good. What types of things are people in the community able to do to help support CASA's mission?
Well, community members can do a lot of different things to support CASA. Of course, the one that we would like most of all is for community members to volunteer to be a CASA themselves. We would also appreciate any donations because there is a fee and there's costs to running the program.
Of course.
We train. There are training sessions, so there is a cost to running the program, running the nonprofit organization. The volunteers do go through a rigorous training period.
That's what I was going to ask about. There is a lot required of CASA volunteers. What kind of training do they have to go through?
Sure. Because CASA volunteers do represent the child in court, they do undergo about 40 hours of training initially.
And that's a lot for a volunteer.
And then once they're assigned a case and become involved, they do take continuing courses to keep their knowledge up to date. And but once they're through that first initial training period, it's not quite as rigorous after that.
Right. I know a lot of CASA volunteers personally, and I know that they're all very committed to the program. So that's great to see. What do you see as what would happen to the community if we didn't have this program? What's the downside of not supporting CASA?
Well, the great thing about having a CASA appointed to a case is that the judges who are going to make an ultimate decision in this case as to whether a child is placed in some permanent situation is that CASA volunteer researches everything about that individual child and focuses on only one child, maybe 2 or 3 children at one time. And what they do is they can spend a lot more time finding out about the child than, say, a CYS caseworker may be able to do, because our CYS caseworkers have probably up to 30 or more cases on their caseload, whereas a CASA volunteer would focus on one child.
Now, does the CASA volunteer take the place of a guardian ad litem who's an attorney, or do they work in concert?
That's a great question. There's a difference between a CYS caseworker, that's a government entity, and guardian ad litem is appointed to represent the legal needs of the child, but a CASA volunteer basically recommends to the court what that volunteer believes would be in the best interest overall of a child as far as who they should have a permanent home with.
Gotcha. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been enlightening to learn a little bit more about CASA, and of course we hope that others in the community will call you if they're interested in learning more about being a volunteer or ways to give.
And CASA has a great website. It's at crawfordcountycasa.org, .org, and there's a lot of information about CASA on that website, and they can contact us through that website at any time.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.